Talk about pride. You do write almost all your own songs, or you co-write them with someone else. Does that make it easier when you're performing the songs to kind of bring them from the heart, as opposed to trying to sing someone else's words?
Well, basically the only songs that I've ever done that I haven't written have been remakes, you know, covers of other songs. And I enjoy doing that, but really writing is such an enormous part of what I do, and I can't imagine what it would be like. I mean, it's hard for me to understand the people that just go in and sing and they don't write their own music, because to me, it's such an integral part of the whole creative process. But in a way, I envy those people because they can come in, sing the song, they get a demo singer singing the song first, then they can do their own thing to it and, you know, bring their flavor to it and have the producer finish it up for them when they leave. And I'm like sitting there obsessing over every single note, you know, why did I do it like this? How do I get the song? You know, really trying to sell the song. And, you know, when you write it, you're building it, you're producing it, you're creating, you know, what people are going to hear, so all the weight falls on your shoulders. And since I've been in the studio, you know, year after year, since my first album, it's been a learning process every single time. And this time, I've really put a lot of realness into the music. There's a lot of myself on this album.
What does it take to make a great Christmas song?
Well, first of all, thank you, because I consider that a really big compliment. And then in terms of writing, the first time the label suggested, hey, do a Christmas album, I was in the back room of this house upstate New York with this little like keyboard by myself, sitting there like thinking, okay, if I'm gonna write a Christmas song, what do I want to say? Okay, I always wish for snow. If I were to say I don't want anything, I just want you, I wanted to make it a love song, but yet a Christmas song that made me feel festive.
Talk about how you write a song. Are you starting with music? Are you starting with ideas for lyrics? Chorus first, verses first?
It's always different. There are times when a melody and a lyric will come to me and they're attached. It'll happen, it'll be the inception of an idea, and then I'll continue it. Hero was, and we're going back, but they asked me to write a song for this movie. It was for Gloria Estefan, supposedly, to sing it. I don't know if Gloria knows that or not. I left the room, I was with Walter Ray, who I used to collaborate with. I took a walk, came back, and I was like, oh no, okay, here's how it goes. And then a hero comes along. And I started telling him, like, you know, play this, and here's what it is. So sometimes it'll be like that. Another song that was like that, I was working with Big Jim Wright. This is for the Emancipation of Mimi. We had written this song called Circles. I started singing for Fly Like a Bird. And I was like, wait, Jim, we gotta do this. I write and produce, you know, all my own stuff. That's, I think, the only way I could work with such a wide variety of people in terms of collaborations, like production. You could never merge those things if you weren't, you know, kind of the person in control of what's going on, writing the lyrics, singing the vocals. You know, I'm completely doing everything. So it's hard to give a snapshot because working with each person is different. Like when I work with Jermaine Dupri, I went to his house in his studio, and basically we do what we always do, which is just like sit down and say, okay, what kind of record do we want to do this time? And we just come up with like an idea, write the song, I want this kind of sound, I want this, whatever. He and I do it together. I took the track wasn't done. I brought it to Capri where I did all my vocals. So basically, like I would do that with Jermaine, and then I would do that with Demiza, or I would do it with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Like we would sit down and write the song. They would give me a rough sketch of the track, and I would go and do all my vocals in Capri because it was really like a beautiful, the most amazing studio I've ever seen. There's a song I wrote called Looking In that is from the album Daydream. And that was written like amidst like one of the biggest albums I ever had, after having realized so many dreams, but still in such a sad place as a person. So I'll look at it and listen to like she smiles through 1,000 tears and harbors adolescent fears. She dreams of all that she can never be. She wades in insecurity and hides herself inside of me. I used to always really focus on that. I used to really focus on keeping things general, but still trying to reveal a specific emotion that I was feeling. In hopes that other people could take it and it wouldn't be too specific to me, that they couldn't relate to it. You know what I mean? Like, I always wanted to make sure people could take it like I did when I was growing up. Every song that'd have like one sentence that reminded me of whatever little moment I was going through. I was like, oh, this is my song. Because that stuff really matters to somebody that listens to lyrics and really like applies those moments to their lives. Well, writing for me is almost more important than singing. It's hard to explain, particularly with this album, because I had so much that I had gone through, and I just put it all into the writing of the music, the lyrics and the melodies and things like that. But I mean, I love interpreting other songs as well. It's just more special to me.
You've got an amazing voice, as
Thank
you know.
you.
That's a god.
Talking about the collaborations, and you're working with all these new people. What is the process like with all the technology now? Are you like in a lab with them writing, or do you kind of just say, this is my idea, what can you add to it?
No, writing is a very organic process for me. I don't even like to write on my phone most of the time. I prefer to like write on paper, sit down, record a melody. I'll use voice notes and record melodies, but you know, and sometimes we'll just sit in the room, write things down, record it immediately so we don't forget it, and then record the next line, then record the next line. But it's from the inception to the completion, I'm there. There is no other way for me. I couldn't do it any other way. I've been doing it that way since I was a teenager. That's what I love.
It's kind of fantastic how all performers, all artists have a different way of doing it.
Yeah.
We've had people like Sia, for instance, came in and she would play her voice notes, and we were just blown away at how she writes a song.
Yeah.
Just recording it. She'll just sing all these words that don't make sense to this tune that she wrote, and then she goes back later and adds
and fine-tunes it. I understand that.
It's a miracle. You know,
I do that sometimes. It's like you're mumbling.
Right.
You're mumbling this melody. You know where you want it to go, but then later it's like, I'm going to fix that lyric because it obviously, we're not going to talk about sunglasses and a microphone, although that could be cute too. You never know. You never know. But sometimes it's just like a stream of consciousness.
I have an idea. Mariah mumbles.
I don't know. I've chosen to be very, very specific and real about certain things in certain songs. The Roof, if we talk about the lyrics to that song, you know, every time I feel the need, I envision you caressing me and go back in time to relive the splendor of you and I on the rooftop that rainy night. I'm not saying that's the best thing I ever wrote, but it's real, and it was real for a very long time to me how I felt with regards to that song. It wasn't raining yet, but it was definitely a little misty on that warm November night, and my heart was pounding, my inner voice resounding, begging me to turn away, but I just had to see your face to feel alive. And then you casually walked in the room, and I was twisted in the web of my desire for you. My apprehension blew away. I only wanted you to taste my sadness as you kissed me in the dark. Like, that's real.
How do you explain your talent? The writing ability, where did that come from?
I consider anything like that to be a gift from God. Anybody.
You write words and music.
Yes. And I hear the melodies in my head, and I hear the chords in my head, and I have to sing out the chords to the people because I quit my piano lessons at 6.
You don't read music?
I don't read music, and my mom is this classically trained person, and I went the other way. And I think it's helped me write songs that I wouldn't have written if I were going at the technical way, because I go, oh, you can't go from this chord to that chord. It's not the way you're supposed to do
Irving
it.
Berlin couldn't read music.
Right.
Wrote some songs, and you break rules that way.
Right, that's a thing. So if I ever do, I mean, I play sometimes, but my melodies come to me so quickly that I can't keep up with it on the piano. Certain songs like Vision of Love, I wrote on the piano, or All I Want for Christmas, I started on the piano, but that's like really basic. So I prefer to work with somebody that's great and collaborate.
Mariah Carey's our
But even if you're combining so many artistic people to your own album, do you still think you can put your own Mariah Carey stamp on it?
Definitely, because that's why I'm a co-producer. Other people who go and say, the hot producer's Babyface, I'm going to work with him, or the hot producer's Puffy, or whatever, they go in, they let that person reinvent them, and they move on. Someone else writes a song, sings the demo for them, and they lose their identity. But because I'm writing the lyrics, I'm writing the melodies, I'm producing the song with my co-producer, they're basically kicked out of the studio when I do my vocals and mix it. I mean, I take over from the time the track's done. I take over the song. So I don't think I ever lose my identity on any of the records. In my mind, that melody and those lyrics, I never sang it to anybody, and I had the chords in my head. And when I was in the transitional period between leaving the quote-unquote big house where I lived, and big house having a double meaning because I do call it Sing Sing, and I think we can laugh about it now because it was kind of prison-esque, and all I did there was sing. So, whatever. But when I was leaving that place, which was actually a beautiful place, but I wasn't happy because it was not a healthy situation that I was in terms of the relationship. I was reflecting on my life, and so the first part of the song, when I spoke about I was a wayward child with the weight of the world that I held deep inside, that whole part was just looking out and going, wow, I've come a really long way after that first concert in Schenectady. The second part was the funny how one can learn to grow numb to the madness and block it away. I left the worst unsaid, let it all dissipate, and I tried to forget. That's sort of taking you from adolescence to the stardom point, because that's what happened to me. I went from literally, being a teenager right into smack, here I am with, this big record and a career, which was a huge blessing and a dream come true. But I was reflecting. My song, Sunflowers, for Alfred Roy. That's for my dad. It's an important song to me. And one day I hope that my kids will know why it's important, what all the little nuances mean. You know what I mean? For me, even when there's something that's like, you would think it's a small detail, but to have it in a song and then listen back to it years later, you're like, oh yeah, that's why I put that there.
Thank you for forgiving hurtful things I've done. As a child, I'd always a woman.
With the song I wrote, Sunflowers, for Alfred Roy, it was actually because when he died of cancer, and when he was in the hospital, I was in Capri, and he called me, and he asked me to come, and I kept flying back and forth to help figure out how to, if we could do anything to save him. And it's my tendency to go over the top with things, as you may or may not be able to imagine. And I kept trying to I would bring these big bouquets of white flowers and all these things and try to make him happy. And it just made him worse because it made him cough, and everything he was going through, it made it terrible. And I felt so bad. And then I saw this picture, and there were these sunflowers in the picture. It was from the year before on Father's Day. And I was like, maybe I'll try sunflowers. Maybe that'll work. I don't know what made me know that, but I brought them, and they were the only flowers that worked and didn't mess with him. And so after he passed, it sort of became like symbolic. Like sometimes you'll lose somebody and, a lot of times it's a butterfly for some people, a bird or this or that. It'll sort of symbolize that person. The sunflowers became symbolic for me with regards to him.
Strange to feel that proud, strong man grip tightly to my hand. Hard to see the light inside. Wait as the days went by.
Keep writing, keep singing, whatever happens. And some of the most successful people in this industry are the songwriters, and people don't know that. So whatever happens, you have that.
Thank you.